distinguished participants, I say good morning to you all. Welcome to this second day workshop on curriculum development. We are commencing today's workshop. I want all of us to rise up and sing the second stanza of the national anthem as our opening prayer. O God of creation, O God of creation, direct book us, guide us, lead us right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow and live in just and true. Great lofty heights attain to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Thank you. We may be seated. Once again, on behalf of the Director General, Chief Executive of this institute, you are welcome to this second day of the workshop. I want to recognize the presence of the Director, Trade Union Services and Industrial Relations. Through the logistics, she was not able to be here yesterday. She is the Director of Trade Union Services and Industrial Relations from the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. She's also one of the Governing Council. Comrade Omabe Udeme Akpan, you're welcome. So once again, your presence is highly recognized. Without wasting any time, let me invite one of the rapporteur team, Mrs. Ruth Ejechi, for the summary of yesterday's activities and action points. A resounding applause for her, please.
Good morning, sirs and ma'ams. Here is a summary of the day's activity from yesterday. Number 1, opening. The 3-day curriculum development workshop and Minils seminar series commenced with the recitation of the first and second stanza of Nigerian National Anthem. Thereafter, the director of PRCD, in person of Mr. Edwin Anisha, highlighted the main purpose of the workshop as to appraise the Institute's curriculum quality and content in a systematic and transformative manner necessary for effective workers' education. The other specific objectives mentioned were to review established procedures for course design and highlight emerging specific workplace issues with a view of identifying inherent gaps, suggesting remedial measures, and developing alternative methods of adult learning. The Director General of Michael Imodu National Institute for Labor Studies, in person of Comrade Isa Aremu MNI, in his welcome address, acknowledged everyone present, especially the representatives of Frederick Ebert Stiftung, for collaborating with the Institute on the workshop. Defining curriculum as a planned sequence of educational instruction, he emphasized the need for the workshop to address current issues in the workplace. He highlighted various areas to be considered in the course of the workshop in the context of nation building, such as social dialogue and channels of communication in event of industrial disputes and strikes, sustainable development, basic economics and sources of funding, climate education to enhance green jobs, security, gender and disability mainstreaming, among others. Acknowledging the population of working youths, the curriculum is expected to review ways for their inclusion in training. Attention was also drawn to the need to radically advance the method of delivery currently obtainable in the Institute. According to the representative of the Governing Council, Mr. Osamudiame Osayade, the workshop marks the beginning of a rise of the Institute to a higher level of significance. He stressed the importance of adequate curriculum as it relates to quality workers' education, workers' welfare and promotion, and the country's socio-economic development. The resident representative of FES, Dr. Daniel Mann, expressed delight in sharing the foundation's wealth of over 100 years' experience on workers' education for development, social justice, and empowerment, while looking forward to the contribution of stakeholders to the Institute's curriculum through the workshop. There were also other goodwill messages from the representatives of NLC, TUC, NECA, and NERDC. The vote of thanks was taken by Mr. Tinoye, a deputy director in the Institute. Number 2, workshop presentations. The first presentation was facilitated by Dr. Mrs. Christiana on curriculum design and transformational adult learning. She emphasized the fact that our clients in the Institute are adults, and there is need for our curriculum to be designed to meet their needs in terms of the knowledge to impact, the materials and methodology based on the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, with special consideration to domains of learning, and should be adequately evaluated based on the objectives set. She mentioned specifically the strategic import of ADDI model of instructional design, as it has to do with analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. She further stressed the need to create disorienting dilemma to enhance transformational learning. Professor M.O. Yusuf facilitated the second presentation on online educational tools and participatory adult worker learning. Digitization and globalization has impacted the work environment, and as such, adult learners and workers need to embrace appropriate digital skills relevant to today's work environment. He stressed the need for adult workers to reskill, upskill, multi-skill, cross-skill, and be expert-skilled. According to him, this is essential in the 21st century for communication, collaboration, and creativity. This would help guide against mental kwashiorkor and make workers indispensable. More so, instruction should be more asynchronous than being synchronous, as the network is not stable in some areas. He finally emphasized the need to make online courses for adults interactive, accessible, and very short, so that they can easily understand new information and their attention span sustained. The third presentation was anchored by Professor Dafe Otobo on education, job competencies, and social change, implications for workers and employers. He described education as a process that is either formal or informal, leading to acquisition of knowledge, skills, values, etc., and job competencies as a combination of attributes needed to perform a job rather than a task. Whereas job competency is often considered difficult to assess due to changing contexts, it can be measured with regards to set standards at work. He further explained that social change is constant, driven by social movements, economic and political processes, as well as ideas. The presenter emphasized that whether cyclical or one-directional, social change is structured. Regarding the implication for workers, he mentioned restructuring of work, as well as supervision, resizing of the workforce, increased use of technology and robotics, subcontracting and outsourcing, challenges for workers, for mobilization of workers by union, I beg your pardon, gender sensitivity, informalization of work, disruption of work by emergent issues such as COVID-19 pandemic, growing labor market, and shrinking traditional industries as the prominent issues to be addressed. After the third presentation, the workshop was closed for the day, and the remaining sessions like exercise 1 and summary of day's activities and action points were adjourned to today, Wednesday, the 17th November 2021. From the team, you are specially welcome to today's workshop. Thank you for your audience.
Thank you very much for the reports presented. Now we'll be moving on to the next exercise, evidence-based curriculum building and learning needs assessment, research report discussion. To handle this, permit me to call on Mr. Femi Olagunju, who is also one of the rapporteurs, to handle this. Thank you. Mr. Femi Olagunju, please. Let's just give a minute for him to come up. While we're waiting for him, I'd like to let us know that the next presentation after this timeout will be on curriculum development. Sorry, pardon me. We're going to be moving after this to the tea break, and then afterwards we'll be going into our group discussions. We're going to be divided into two groups to use two different venues, and there we'll be working on curriculum mapping and review. That will be for our breakaway sessions. And then we'll be working also on curriculum development exercises. So today is going to be filled with activities, but they are not going to be cumbersome. And I believe that we're going to have a good time doing this. Thank you. Once again, welcome Mr. Femi Olagunju.
Good morning, sirs and mass. I'm Femi Olagunju by name, and this morning I'm here to present. The report that we embarked upon 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and the report is on Minils training needs identification survey. That we went on the survey on particularly 2019, and we are now here to give the report. This thing is not. Okay. These are the basic assumptions. Training needs assessment is undertaken as a basic and objective measure for determining gap in skills, competencies, and knowledge. Training needs assessment is done in order to fit learning experience to the needs of the learner. TNA can be undertaken at individual and organizational level. The survey that we embarked upon was taken at organizational level, not individual level. TNA should be undertaken at regular interval, preferably 5 years. And we have done, the one we did, was between 2005 to 2019. Reports of previous efforts in the library. These are the research methodology. I don't need to go into all this methodology one by one. The instrument that was used was questionnaire, and this questionnaire comprised of open-ended and closed-ended questions. The questionnaire has 5 sections. The first section, it was on biodata of the respondents, and these are what it entails. We have name of organization, and so on and so forth. This is section B. Section B comprises of organizational arrangements and structures for training. C also is on training needs that is preferable, by our clients. Section D is on areas where respondents want intervention. That is areas where our clients want, Minils to intervene. So, let me show you the sample of the questionnaire that was used. So, from the results generated, let me take you back to the population and target population. The population that was used was all the clients that came to Minils program, in the last 10 years, and the target population were all labor unions and administrators. So, and 200 organizations were sampled. Out of these 200 organizations that were sampled, 119 organizations, responded to the questions that we are administered to them. And the findings from the questions that were given so far, shows to us that some questions, some courses that are preferable or that they need are all these, that they want institute to intervene. We have work ethics and values, tools for productivity enhancement, trade union and finance, and trade union fund accounts, conflict management for organizational development. All these courses are what the clients want the institute to intervene. Also, we have courses that they mentioned also that they want, that they want their members to be sponsored. We have HIV/AIDS courses. All these courses are the courses that they have. These are some of the courses listed by the respondents that the organization have sponsored. These are the sample, this is the questionnaire sampled. So, this is the format of the questionnaire. So these are the courses being run by Labor Management Relations. These are the entrepreneurship and development courses. So far so good. The trade. So this is Labor Management Relation courses. Is it both enough, Mark? All right. It's okay. This is trade union education course. The entrepreneurship and business development. So this is the sample of the questionnaire so far. So discussion of findings. The second section of the questionnaire on organizational arrangement and structure for training shows that 58% of respondents were aware of Minils program. That is, majority of our clients are aware of the program that is being run by Minils. Then the third section of the questionnaire is on trainings, identification and delivery, which reveals that majority of the respondents preferred short-term courses. So they want the courses to be run, at a very short time basis. So the last section of the questionnaire is on partnership for enhancing training and learning experience. And all these are what they want institutes to intervene. In terms of collaboration, majority of respondents, want the institute to collaborate with them in terms of joint, training programs. So these are the recommendations. They mentioned that Minils should focus more on labor and economic development courses. Also that Minils should send their annual training programs or procure to organizations early so as to enhance better participation. That Minils should try as much as possible to introduce online part-time training basis programs. That Minils should focus more on occupational health and safety courses. I think these are our findings. Okay. So let me quickly move to the summary and conclusion. Many respondents have heard about, as I've mentioned earlier, the majority of respondents are aware that Minils, is a training institute. And many respondents have heard about us, and most organizations add training or educational departments. Majority of those respondents that we met, made mention that they have training departments in their various organizations. Also that short-time courses, are preferred. As I've mentioned earlier, they prefer short-time courses to long-time courses. In terms of the importance, in terms of important consideration of organization in choosing training programs. Training needs of the organization through workers, team, title of the courses, and 3 courses of training course fee. So these are the important considerations that should be noted. Also that lecture method mostly preferred, we are lecture and discussion method. So they prefer that we venture into lecturing and discussion. That's what they prefer. And that most organizations wanted partnership with Minils. They want Minils to collaborate with them. So the observation that we are made was that Minils, I think I've said this earlier on, so this is a summary of the survey. I think I'm okay. Sir? Let's go back. So, okay, time for discussion. Let's start with the first findings.
Thank you very much. My name's Comrade Taiwo Otitolaye. Thank you for the presentation. Before the discussion, I'm not clear with the problem. I don't know which was the problem. Yes. Identification of the problem, definition. And I can see your objective is not well, stated or cut. It's open-ended. You just read, so we don't know what is your objective. And also your target audience is so wide. Unionists, trade unionists, and administrators. It's so wide. So we want to know whether trade unionists from grade level, this. When you say administrators can be in so many fields. So I think we should make it to be specific, and the objective will be specific. So because your objectives are not specific, you are just on the field. You are not, thank you.
Okay. I think, no, for any research,
maybe you will have to note some of these questions and take them all together. I want to congratulate the Institute for at least conducting a needs assessment survey prior to the commencement of this activity, because yesterday I was a little bit worried when the first presenter kept hammering that I said yesterday I was a bit worried when the first presenter kept hammering on the fact that we are having a curriculum review exercise or a curriculum development exercise without a needs assessment. And we know that curriculum is more effective if it is based on the needs of the users of the curriculum. So I am a bit relieved today to see that, yes, something was actually being done. My first question was on the population. You said labor unions, and I want to know whether the labor unions is it just for the major group of labor unions like the NLC and so on? Did you go to individual organizations and institutions, research institutions, because we have labor union leaders there? Because those are the grassroots that you need to tap from to know what their training needs are. That is my first question. Then you talked about preferred courses, you listed so many, and I asked, were they all what you already offer? Or are there new ones that came up that you are yet to offer? Because this kind of study should throw up something like that. Okay? So you need to tell us that, because it will guide the curriculum development process. Because if you have offered so many, there are some that they might even indicate that they don't need it. You might need to throw down, delete some courses, introduce new ones, and so on. So this research should be able to do that. So you may be able to give us more specific findings to guide the curriculum research exercise. And I asked a question, how about the duration of the courses? You mentioned, you actually answered it towards the end, says short term. Short term, how many weeks? Is it short term could be 3 months? Will any organization release its staff? Because being a labor union is one thing, but primarily he's a staff of that organization, has primary duties to perform. So short term, what is the duration of that short term? Then I think you talked about occupational health and safety. Those are the new areas, I suppose. If they are not, then was there any question in your instrument that called for them to comment on the content, the already existing content? Is it adequate? Should it be improved? Are there some things that are redundant that needs to be removed and so on? So these kind of things will help. So maybe before we commence in the curriculum review proper, you will be able to furnish us with some of this very detailed information, because that will help. That is what we are really going to use for the exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. My name is Akim Akinwale. This is a very good insight into the organizations in terms of what their training needs are. So the only question I want to ask is about representativeness. You said a survey was conducted. Yeah, you mentioned you selected 200 participants. I want to ask a question. Out of how many did you select 200 participants? Meaning, what is the numerical strength of the study population? And how did you arrive at 200? That's second question. Then third question, and maybe final question, you did mention that 119 filled and returned the questionnaire. Now, is that representative enough? And that takes us back to the second question. How did you arrive at 200? If 200 is the sample size, it means the standard practice is to increase that sample size by a certain percentage in order to make up for the possibility of non-response, so that the data analyzed at the end of the day should not be below the sample size. Since the sample size is the benchmark for representativeness in a survey. So I think you need to give information on that, or you clean your record so that what should be on your record should be what has met the minimum requirement for a methodological requirement of a survey. I hope it's clear, sir. Thank you.
Sorry, just an addendum to what you said. We would like to know if the public sector, maybe you have the sample, the survey for the public sector union and the private sector organization. Because the needs for public sector labor setting is different from that of private sector. So we need to know that, please.
I'm talking from the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. And from the last speaker, I think he speaks more from what I wanted to comment on. Because I see that you have more of the government, public sector as your clients. And the question is, over years, what's the participation of private sector representatives in your trainings? Or is only meant for government-related organizations? Because I believe that, yes, Minils supposed to be a tripartite organizations wherein you have companies or trainees from the private sector as well. How often do you have people or participants coming from the private sector? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Lawa Moshood. I want to make a few clarifications here. A training need assessment is conducted to create a baseline to find out the skill level at present and what it will be or what it was. Okay. The institute conducted this training need analysis in 2005, before 2005 to 2007, before the one that was conducted in 2019 to 2020. So I want to say that the institute run short-term programs, usually between Tuesdays to Fridays, okay? And then on few occasions, we run a 2-week program, specially packaged, specialized program, okay? But then our client base include people from government employees, the organized private sector, and even the informal sector, okay? They normally nominate participants that will attend our program. And then from the survey that was conducted, the people that were sampled were collated from the number of organizations that have sent in participants. They are endless. They are in thousands. They are in thousands. And most of the times, we look at the organization that have sent in participants in the last 10 years. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, 5 participants sequentially in different programs. Of course, we have more than 52 programs that we run in the institute, ranging from welfare, organizational welfare, collective bargaining, conflict resolution, alternative dispute resolution, gender issues in workplace, globalization and labor market issues. There are so many. Okay? So the clarification I want to make is that we sampled our participants from the number of organizations that have sent in trainees. Okay? And what we sought to know were that how had what we did in the past impacted on the organization. Because, of course, the true representation of what happened may not have come from the workers. Some workers attend program, they attend for attending sake, they may not really, give back to the organization. Some will go and attend programs, they will gain the knowledge, but it's for them to keep. Okay? So, the organization, of course, have the true response for us, while we also seek the knowledge, the opinion of the respondents, the participants who have attended our programs too. So that is the clarification I want to make. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Please, my own is just a contribution. While you were running down the report, you did say that the awareness was about 58%. 58% is not good enough. I advise that you should go for more advocacy, so that when you conduct another research, you'll be getting about 80% awareness. 58 is average. Do more advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Mine is regarding the targeted organizations. And from the onset, your institute is tripartite. So I would like to see the fact that in terms of the need assessment, what are the needs for all these sectors? What has been the areas that workers would prepare? What are the areas the employers prepare? What are the areas government agencies prepare? So based on that, you'll be able to tailor your curriculum and programs that will target to specific needs of each of the tripod. Then there would be areas that you need all that would harmonize the needs of all the three. That is just my observation. Thank you.
Thank you. He will now respond.
Thanks so much for all your comments, questions, and observations. In terms of population, I think Dr. Moshood has said, has put light into the area that we are discussing now. The target population of the study, we are both the public and private sector. That's our target. As Dr. has said, that those people that have attended the Minils program in the last 10 years were our target population. And we cannot, take all of them. It's not possible to sample all the target population, except the person wants to just die natural death. So we need to sample. Sir? Sir? The population, our clients, that's the population. Institute clients that have attended our programs in the last 10 years. That's the population. Then the target population are the unions and administrators. Those are our target population. Because we need to get target population. So from this target population, we now sample. We now do sample. And we selected, our sample from 6 geopolitical zones using stratified random sampling. So, and to get the sample, we use random sampling to select one respondent from those organizations that we are identified. In all, 200 respondents, we are sampled or identified from the data bank of the institutes, which we have generated. So, and that's what we are made to understand that 119 part of them, responded. And that 119, the questionnaire were analyzed, and the results was generated. Let me quickly move to the areas where our client needs, our intervention, and the causes they prefer and the ones that they think, is not relevant. Them. Okay. All right. So from the analysis, we are made to understand that some causes are relevant in improving competence and performance in various organizations. And these are the causes that, we are. So we have all these causes. And if you look at the frequency, the frequency that has the highest, shows that those causes are mostly preferred. Now we have let's first of all look at the highest frequency first to know the one that are preferred. From labor management relation courses, we have developing effective leadership and supervisory skills. Is mostly preferred, by those organizations. Then we have also productivity and work ethics also. It's also preferred. Then from trade union education courses, we have work ethics and values like that. All the numbers that are very low or small, they are the courses that are not that important to them. Then we have entrepreneurship courses and entrepreneurship and business development courses. We have entrepreneurship and small business development being the most preferred. Then from social protection courses also, we have issues in pension administrations in Nigeria. Academic and distance learning courses, we have labor management, administration, and social justice in the context of national development being the most preferred courses. Also, employees' welfare too. Wellness and motivation also is mostly preferred. These are the courses, why 14 did not even respond at all to that question. Then these are the courses that are not very relevant to them. The one with highest frequency, we have trade union history and governance. According to them, they prefer that it's not that important to them. Then also trade union phone and account too is not that relevant, to them. And so on and so forth. Also trade union education courses too. The one with majority of them, like this one now, trade union practice in the trade environment too, is not even relevant to them. So all these courses, according to them, the one with highest frequency shows that it's not relevant. And we have 8 as frequency being under trade union practice in the trade. So that course is not relevant, to them. So under entrepreneurship and business development courses too, the one with highest frequency, we have entrepreneurship and business and small business development gender and women entrepreneurs in the informal economy. All these ones with high frequency shows that those courses are not very relevant to their organization. Then social protection courses too. So all the courses with the highest frequency are the ones that are not very relevant, like this one now, 11. On national diploma in industrial and labor relations too. That one too is not very relevant to them. So these are the courses that those organizations preferred and the ones that are not preferred. I think, all right.
Thank you very much for your response. I have two concerns. I think, I'm not a researcher, but from what you have presented, I think you need to again look at your methodology if you actually want to get something that is useful and tangible. From this process, something caught my eye. You said trade union practice in a changing environment was not relevant. I think that cannot be true. That was when? That's like 2 years ago. Or when? So, is this presentation something that was done 10 years ago? No, 2019. This is 2021. So, it cannot be. In the last 10 years, we know that within the trade unions, there has been concern about how to make the trade unions more relevant and responsive and able to meet workers' needs. So it should be something, it will naturally be something that is relevant and topical, except you are talking to the wrong people. If you talk to the wrong people, you get the wrong answer. So I think we need to look at this is worrisome if you ask me. The second concern I have not heard you. Please, can we? I've not heard you, and I think it's the madam there who asked the question. I've not heard you talk about suggestions of topic or themes that your respondent made. Is that not captured in this report? I've not heard it. Thank you.
Can I also thank you, Remy, for this observation? Because what you giving from your presentation, there are 2 or 3 main concerns. Number one, you just showed the numbers, saying that the trade union fund account is not very popular. In your PowerPoint presentation, it says it's one of the most sought for courses. So your numbers in your presentation don't add up. Number 2, from your method, if you just pick out 200 organizations from all the organizations who are there, I'm wondering, and you only have 1 respondent per organization, right? So that means NLC, as participating organization, gets 1 respondent, which is a huge organization with 4 million members, and then maybe some entrepreneur startup business with 2 employees also gets 1 respondent, right? So how is this representative of your clients? So this is the main issue. And then the second question, maybe also to find out why these courses don't make sense. Where was everybody asked to answer for all departments? So that means, I'm not sure, like the comrade has already asked, I think, how many of your respondents are from the trade union section? How many are from the national level? How many are from the local level? How many are from the private sector? Because there was a very valid question, how much private sector people are coming in here? This tripartite, they should come in. So those people might have different views, and I think what would be very valiant from any of those surveys is to find out, is there, and I assume there's difference between those groups. So can you cater for all groups in one program? You have different programs for different groups. So with this one, I'm not sure if it's giving any sense. I mean, you sampled through geopolitical zones. Now, I dare to admit that probably this is not the biggest difference between maybe the needs of the NLC and our friends from the industry and our friends from the private sector. So I would really suggest you go to, because from the presentation it's not very clear. I assume the report is bigger than the presentation. but I'm not sure how we continue from there because it seems very confused.
Yeah, thank you. It's very good we are discussing. If it's me presenting it, other people will also see the weak area. So we are only discussing to enrich it. Like I said before, your objective and problem identification and definition is what gave you all these challenges. If you have done it, and like this objective, you have, like my comrade from NLC said, you categorize your target audience. That's why you can have 3 specific objectives talking to your target audience. And also, you can say, okay, we have done that. He too has spoken about the levels. But another thing is, the courses rejected. All labor relation courses, social protections rejected. It means your target audience, is it the top management, is it personnel department? So that is it. So next time we can now see that when we have individuals can attend individuals do attend your courses, isn't it? So they can be factored in. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the presenter for the effort, but I'd like to say quite well, agreeing with a number of people who have spoken earlier, there are gaps. I think basically the challenge is methodological. I think the instrument may not have been subjected to proper validity test. I'm not too sure that even there was focus group to be sure that what we were getting as instrument to be circulated was the right instrument that would give us the right responses. So I am of the view that what we should do, we should disaggregate the findings one by one for the purpose of this exercise. Take the findings one by one, and as much as possible, try to rely on them, and try to rely on our hunches, our experiences in the field, not necessarily the findings of this trainees assessment, to be able to develop the curriculum as it were. Certainly, some of the courses that were listed as rejected, for me, those who rejected them may not have been the correct target. Otherwise, they would not have rejected them. From our experiences in the field, these are clearly courses that are highly sought after. And so we can go forward despite the weaknesses that has been put across as findings from this survey. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Actually, those courses are not listed as rejected. Those courses are listed to the respondents to rate according to the order of which they prefer to the order. So the table you showed you earlier was showing us they preferred, the one with 32 was like the courses they preferred most among the courses we are doing already. Not necessarily, and the next one is just showing us that they prefer that to the other one, all right? So, and apart from that, I think it showed us some courses that they listed on their own that are not already in our curriculum at all. Those ones on the table are already courses. So the numbers there are just the level of rating of each of the courses. that we are already doing. And they listed courses too for us that they want us to add to our courses that we are already running. And mostly the emphasis was, the major setback of this research was high rate of non-response. Because if you have 32 people rating labor, what's the name of the first course? Labor management relation. It shows that many of them did not respond. And conclusion is very difficult to reach when we have high rates of response. So we actually decided to use 200 organizations for the research work, sincerely just to be able to meet up with whatever we set. Because the higher your sampling, the more complex and difficult difficulty you might experience on the field. So what I just want to clarify is that table, frequency there, rating, that one course is relevant and not relevant. No. We have a rating of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we did was to identify which, if you pick 5, then to you that course is most relevant. So, and if you pick 4, to you, you think is the next. So we count that. That is where we got the 32 for those courses that are already on our programs. So and for courses that are not on our programs was what he first showed earlier. Those are the courses they want us to introduce to our training programs. Thank you.
I would advise that the department should not be on the defensive. The simple lesson is, when you distribute questionnaires, assuming you distributed them, which I doubt, if you hand over questionnaires to a corporate organization, they will decide who's going to complete the questionnaires. That's where your problem lies. So I don't think you should be on defensive. Next time, adopt a more subtle, direct system. Huh?
I think Prof have said it all. That's what I wanted to say. Some lapses have been observed, which you ought to have taken into consideration next research you want to carry out so that it can balance. Like my comrade here said, if your objective is faulty, you can't get it right. You can't. And you have to well define your objective. Define the problem first and define your objective so that you will be able to draw your questionnaire instrument to sort for information. Otherwise, from that, you can't get to anywhere. Thank you.
Thanks so much for all your observations, your comments, and your, words. All it has been taken and noted. It has been taken and noted, and in the subsequent survey that we will embark upon, we'll make sure that all these things are factored into it so that you can get, a conclusive and a solid report the next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for the comments and observations. It's time for tea break. And the arrangement is just as we had it yesterday. The core participants and the which includes the management, will have their tea break in the canteen while others stay here. So please let's listen attentively. After the tea break, all the management staff and the institutional representatives will move to the other hall there for the next session. Institutional representatives and the management staff, while the faculty, the non-academic staff of Minils, other support staffs will come here for the next session. Thank you very much. Tea break. We are expected to be back by 11 o'clock. The tea break is 10:30 to 11, please. We are resuming back at 11:05. This is 10:35, 30 minutes for the tea break.